A Japanese TV series I've been following the last few years is Ryosangata Riko, which recently finished its third season. I previously covered the first two seasons here on the channel. I've enjoyed the series thus far for its informative and relaxing model building scenes. The multiverse aspect introduced in season 2 was unexpected for a show like this, while also being a show with a decent narrative structured around working together and forging bonds in the office. However, in my video covering season 2, I mentioned that I hoped that the series would move away from the office setting. Not only does season 3 of Ryosangata Riko move away from the office setting, it trades in the bustling big city for a sleepy rural town. Oh, and in regards to the multiverse aspect, Ryosangata Riko Season 3 is a prequel. I'll discuss the prequel aspect later in the video. First, I want to touch on the story here in Season 3. Riko Komakai, a temp worker in Tokyo, after learning her grandfather passed away, returns to her home in the countryside. While sorting through her grandfather's belongings, she discovers a plastic model. She then takes it to a local model shop where she learns not only about plastic models, but more about her late grandfather, as well as learning and growing closer with her family. I think it's safe to assume that the theme for Season 3 of Ryosangata Riko is family. The formula is very similar to previous seasons. Each episode, a character has a problem or issue, and Riko shows the model building as an outlet to de-stress or tackle the problem from a different angle. However, there is an overarching narrative that is quietly introduced that comes to the forefront in the final 2 episodes. That results in the whole family working together to build a massive plastic model. I enjoyed that aspect of the family coming together, but I think some of the individual episodes had varying quality. I want to first touch on what I thought was the worst episode of Season 3 to get a major negative aspect out of the way. Episode 6 dealt with Riko's older sister having marital issues with her husband that seemed to stem from her not getting accepted to go to space. The model building aspect of the episode was fine, but the solution for Riko's sister and her husband was to get a divorce so that her husband could propose to her in space after they both achieved their goals. That's kind of cute, I guess, but the relationship is vaguely presented and it was kind of confusing what the actual issue was, so it was hard to get invested into their characters or story, resulting in the overall episode falling flat. On the other end of the spectrum, episode 5 was really well executed. It deals with Riko wanting to go to a fireworks show, but she can't get a ride. It leads to her building some initial D plastic models with Yasan and Ao. There's also some nice visual storytelling with the mountain road that pairs nicely with a major aspect of initial D. In general, I would say Season 3 does a better job of bringing in elements based on the plastic models being built in each episode, compared to the previous seasons. For instance, the second episode features a dinosaur model that they dig up the pieces for, like they're fossils. Episode 7 brings in a similar story beat to that of Kaiju number 8, but with a little twist. And Episode 8 features a Mechagodzilla model that Riko's younger sister uses for a short film. It was a really fun episode. Again, the overarching story was decent, and I liked everyone coming and working together in the finale rather than in the middle of the season like the series did with seasons 1 and 2. Though I find that it's the individual episodes that stand out here in this season, mostly for good, but occasionally some Whether an episode was well written or not, I did appreciate most of the cinematography here in Season 3, not just with the model building scenes, but with other scenes and shots. While I'm no cinematic expert, there are quite a few mirror, glass, or reflection shots. There's some long panning shots and generally a lot of interesting stuff done in camera. There are some corny but effective props. I do get a sense of not quite experimentation, but more seeing what they could do with the equipment and crew that they had. There are a couple of awkward push-ins that look like the camera operator got up and walked closer to an actor. Almost like the camera operator didn't have a gimbal or it was their first time using one. Again, it only happened a couple of times, and all the other push-in shots are super smooth, especially in the final 2 episodes. The series has always had decent cinematography, and outside the couple of mishaps this season, I think Season 3 looks the best of the series. I also want to briefly touch on the acting here in Ryosangata Riko. Again, I'm no expert, but I think it's all pretty good, especially for late night television. But I do want to specifically highlight Yoji Tanaka and Yuki Yoda. Both, seemingly to me, brought a level of naturalness and subtlety I wasn't expecting for a late night TV series about building plastic models. Yoji Tanaka, who portrays Yasan, is the informative, somewhat stern shopkeep with the occasional comedic moment, but also showcased a subtle bit of sadness when reminiscing about his friend, Riko's grandfather, no longer being there. Yoji Tanaka was someone I wasn't familiar with before this series, but he's a good actor, and I want to try and watch more stuff with him in it. On the flip side, because of Nogizaka 46, I'm a bit more familiar with Yuki Yoda and have seen her develop over time as an actor. She was always okay for an idol, but was never the best actor in Nogizaka 46. Heck, even in the Grand Blue live-action movie, I found some of her delivery kind of stiff. She seems to have improved with her work here on Ryosangata Riko, getting a little better each season, but here in Season 3, she seemed to really bring a naturalness and subtlety to the character. Now for the moment you've been waiting for, touching on the multiverse aspect and how it works out that Season 3 is actually a prequel. If you watched the second season or my video covering the second season, then you know about the multiverse aspect of Ryosangata Riko, with many of the actors from previous seasons returning with the same character name, but in a different role. That continues here in Season 3, but it's not as big of a focus as it was in the second season, which essentially had an entire episode about it. Even Ao, the assistant at the plastic model shop, portrayed by Yuka Ishida, is the same from Season 2. Episode 6 probably has the biggest focus on the multiverse aspect. Yes, the same episode with the bad storytelling, where Ao's friend Haru, played by Rami Amakawa, appears out of thin air. Haru, if you don't remember, was the assistant at the rival startup company during Season 2, but is also the shrine maiden that appears in a couple of episodes here in Season 3. However, there's still no answer on how or why Yasan and the various employees can travel or even know about the multiverse. As far as what makes Ryosangata Riko Season 3 a prequel, well, simply, Yasan mentions that this is the first time he met Riko Komakai. There is also a post-credit scene in the final episode with Yasan and Ao, where Ao finds a listing for a store, the same store we see the plastic model shop at in Season 1 and 2. We didn't get a lot of new information about the multiverse. Part of me would like to see that explored in a future season, but I'm also not sure that we will. Frankly, because I'm not sure if there will be any more seasons. Why I think that is based on the full Japanese title for Ryosangata Riko, with each season having a slightly different title or tagline essentially. For instance, the first season's full title in English would roughly translate to Mass-Produced Girl Riko, a Plastic Model Girl's Life Assembly Journal. Then the second season's full title in English would roughly translate to Mass-Produced Girl Riko, Another Plastic Model Girl's Life Assembly Journal, a reference that it's a different Riko. Now for the third season's full title in English, it would roughly translate to Mass-Produced Girl Riko, The Final Plastic Model Girl's Life Assembly Journal. Ergo, Season 3 might be the final season for Ryosangata Riko. Obviously, nothing is set in stone, especially with a series that has already played with the multiverse concept and even already hinted at a Riko that looks different. Though without spoiling the end too much, the ending, while a bit quickly paced, feels like a closing of a book, with all the characters ready to move on and try something new, possibly even being a symbolic send-off for the cast. It's one of those things we'll just have to wait and see. Personally, while I'd want to see a conclusion regarding the Riko that looks different, I've enjoyed watching and experiencing this series. Learning more about plastic model building, I was inspired enough to try a bit myself. I've also enjoyed making these videos, where I can share my thoughts on a somewhat obscure late-night Japanese TV show that centers around building plastic models, with any viewers who have been interested. With all that said, what are your thoughts on Ryosangata Riko? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. As always, I've been Anime Visor. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye bye.